Hello, it's Melinda from Alexis and Melinda's Art Space coming today with an art journal page. So this background has already been done. This was actually an experiment with a couple of my stencils that I sell in my website store. My stacking stencils, so you get a pack of 2 stencils that line up and stack on top of each other. If you want to see the construction of that background, I'll link my work channel below that has that footage on it. So just going in with some gesso. It was very bright. It was done with Dylusions paint, so it was bright yellow, blue and pink. So I decided to tone it down a little. Trying to fill up the last couple of pages in this lovely altered novel book. Excuse my paintbrush in the middle of the frame. I move it. This is my altered novel book. I have now finished it. Since this video I've done a couple more pages. It has popped its spine, so it is just papers, a pile of papers now, and I'm going to put a book cover back on it on video in a couple of weeks. So I decided to go through my bits box and grab out a bunch of collage papers. So all these hearts are from a collage sheet that I just downloaded from the internet. I'm not even sure, I did these a while ago. And the houses are as well. So they're just an A4 sheet, and I love the houses, and I think I'm going to make some similar of my own. So using matte gel medium to Liquitex matte gel medium to, or matte medium to stick them down. It's one of my favourite adhesives, but the only problem I have with the bottle is I probably use that little bottle, it's about 250 mils, in a couple of months, and I find I'm squirting way too much out. So if I do purchase that bottle again, what I'll either do is unscrew the top and just dip my brush in, or decant it into a little jar and just keep refilling it, because I feel I'm using a lot more of it than I should, because if I have extra on my page, I just spread it out. And I'm thinking a lot of my other mediums and that have been in jars, so I just dip my paintbrush in and you use far less. So that's one tip about that sort of product. So these 3 white figures here, these drawn monsters, were inspired by Courtney Diaz. And if I remember, I'll link her channel below. Sometimes I say I'm going to link things in the video, and then by the time I get to upload it, I sort of forget. So let me know if I didn't do it and I'll fix it up. So Courtney Diaz, these are some of her scrap monsters. These are drawn versions of it. She made some scrap monsters and some little nook dwellers, and these were a few that I come up with following her same sort of concept. Sort of just doing little critters with different names. So I do these in black pen in my sketchbook, and actually take them to the photocopier and photocopy the pages, or scan them in and photocopy them and print them out. So my sketchbook stays whole, and then I just keep doing the pages. So all these images were done on an inkjet printer. And I found if you're very careful, an inkjet printer, the ink will run, but if you're very careful and quick and don't scrub over the top of the paper, you can usually use a matte gel medium to stick over the top. So just giving that a bit of a dry, and because I'm wanting to colour the images, I give it another coat of homemade white gesso. Now the white gesso is available, the recipe is available on YouTube. Basically it's white school glue, water, and a white powder, and for the life of me I can't remember what the white powder is. But if you just search clear gesso on YouTube, you'll come up with the recipe. So just putting that on, it gives your page a bit of what we call tooth. So it does give it a bit of texture, but not that much. It's basically because I wanted to use alcohol markers over the top to colour in the images. I just wanted a sort of an all of the page covered with that, so then if I alcohol marked a certain part, they would be the same colours, if that makes sense. Because some places I didn't put matte gel medium, I didn't know how the alcohol markers would react to one place or the other. So just giving that a dry. So I'm just using some alcohol markers from Aldi. I picked these up a few months ago in one of my haul videos, and they were I think this is a set of 12 markers for $14. Or it could have been $14.95 for 12 markers. I had Copics at one stage, and I was going to get all into that colouring, but colouring really does my head in. I don't find it relaxing. I find drawing more relaxing, and that's just probably me. I don't find colouring in someone else's picture very relaxing, and I really struggle to do a huge page. This little bit is fine. This I really enjoyed because I was colouring in sort of my images, but sitting there and just colouring a colouring book page, it's not therapy for me. It's actually annoyingness. But I will sit there and I'll cover a whole page with drawing and Zentangle the minutest little things, and that'll make me happy as Larry. Go figure, I'm just one of those weird people. So I love adult colouring books to buy, to source images out of, not to sit there and colour. I own probably about 10 adult colouring books, and I mainly buy them to source the images out of, to either redraw and reinterpret as my own, or simply to cut up and use on my art journal pages. So I'm not worrying about a lot of shading. I'm basically doing block colours. I don't get into a lot of shading with my alcohol markers, not wanting... To be honest, my eyesight is not that great. I have distance vision problems. I've mentioned this several times. I'm not even qualified for a driver's license, which makes life interesting when you're got a 9-year-old child to get places and get yourself places. So my poor legs do get a workout. So I find with my distance vision, I can't see detail a lot, and I'd have to be quite close to the image when I'm colouring it, and it just doesn't. Excuse me, I haven't yawned all day. Seriously, I think as soon as a voiceover starts, my brain goes, yep, we're going to yawn all through this just to embarrass you. And if I was good, I'd actually edit out all the yawning. So back to it. I tried, and I bought a whole bunch of Copics, and I've actually sold them a couple of years ago because I tried the shading of the images, and I see people do it beautifully, and it's just not much for me. And that's one thing about craft, is if you try something and it's not for you, move on and try something else. Don't sort of stick with it, or don't get stuck in a rut and say I can't do anything. I found out I'm not great at colouring a stamped image, but I can sort of do blocky colours, and that's why I got these alcohol markers from Aldi, because I did want them for my journal to do some colouring, and they come with a basic range of colours, and that's all I need. You can sort of see the basic range of colours as I do it very quickly. So they've got the basic colours, and that's all I simply need. So now I decided to grab a Sharpie and outline all the stuck on pieces of paper. I could have got a Stabilo or my Inktense pencil and done a subtle one, but I'm really into liking the graphic dark lines on my artworks. I've done a bunch of those in my Altered Sewing book or Altered Needlecraft book. Again, following on, Courtney Diaz did a few videos on that. And I've done a few with the dark black outline and really loving the contrast of it, so I decided to do it in this one as well. I don't do this to all my pages, but I'm loving the result of this page. It's very, very cutesy and very different, and I love the houses, and I think I'm going to make some of my own houses out of my leftover gel prints. So watch for that video to come. So just outlining on the shapes and around the shapes as well, just defining some features more than others, like defining the faces, and it tends to give them a bit of depth as well. The little houses, the ones that were white and I coloured in, or they're still white, I'll colour them in a minute, were a stamp. Those three I cut apart from a stamped image. You probably saw that earlier in the book. So just giving it the book a border as well, just doing doodling. I could sit there all day and doodle on layouts and draw and Zentangle. It's very relaxing. So then I decided the background looked a bit plain and looked a bit lost to the foreground, because all my stuck on collage pieces sort of were, once I outlined them in black, was jumping forward. The background didn't look cohesive, so I decided to draw around a few of the dots I'd put on. So the stencil set I used in the background is one of our stacking stencils, so you can put the ovals down, and then the dots for the second stencil will either line up inside the ovals, between the ovals, or on top of the ovals, so you can sort of put them on any way you like. So then I decided it needs some white pen, and this is my favourite white pen. It's a Sharpie paint marker, and it came in a class box about 3 to 4 years ago. One of our Australian companies was doing class kits, and every 6 weeks they sent you a set of instructions and a box of goodies. It was about $50, and I never did the boxes when I got them because I was too busy, and I've slowly gone through them. I think I've got 1 box left, so it was great to do the lessons. But I haven't been able to find the Sharpie paint marker yet. I may have to go and buy a Posca one, because I just love doing the white accents. So just adding white accents here and there, thinking about what pieces I want to do. I'll often draw around something in black, which is a thicker marker, then draw on top of it in white, just to give it a bit more depth. I like this paint marker because it doesn't splat and splodge. I've had a few that will just erupt everywhere. And it's quite fired at its tip as well. I don't like white gel pens because sometimes I can't draw over everything. So here I decide the houses are too blank, so I decide to colour them in. So the markers are two-ended, so they have a chisel tip and a... Actually, no, I think they have a brush tip and a finer tip. Rings a bell. So they were a great investment from Aldi. They were new this year. I didn't see them have them last year, or last time they had was about 18 months ago. They had the scrapbooking stuff, so they come out with the scrapbooking stuff. So I decided to do some wiggly borders around the edge, and then we are just about done this page. Hope you enjoyed. Welcome to all our new subbies. We've had a flourish of new subbies lately, so welcome to all of you. Please leave us a comment or and subscribe if you want to see some more videos. I'll share the channel with my 9-year-old, so she does some videos as well. She's been doing some cooking ones, which are just hilarious, us in the kitchen together. And we sometimes do art journal pages together as well. So thank you for watching, and I will just leave you watch me doodle around the last bit of the page.